Hello, welcome to a Natural Wellness Solutions podcast. I'm Keith. This is Heather. We're holistic wellness practitioners for Natural Wellness Solutions, and we'd like to share our thoughts today.
So today's thoughts are around boundaries. So what are they? What are they not? Do you know, have you tried to set boundaries? If you have and they're not working, do you know why they're not working? We have some thoughts and some answers, and I think that before we even get into what are boundaries, I think we should probably talk about what boundaries aren't.
Yeah, because I think right now a lot of people use boundaries as like this safety net. They're used almost to like control people rather than so that people can be in their life. So when we look at mental health in general, the person that is the healthiest, if we can even align this with fitness. Okay, so let me get my thoughts together. If we look at the body as being healthy, it is resilient to the resistance put on it. It's resilient to the outside world. But for some reason, if we look at, mental health, we end up becoming sometimes less resilient because we're cutting all these things out rather than building capacity to be able to handle them, rather than building the strength, building the mental fortitude to be able to handle these things. So boundaries is one of those things where it's not necessarily meant to be like, I put this boundary up, I'm cutting these people out because they don't agree with me or they don't see the world as I do. Rather than doing that, this is a skill so that we can still have people in our life, even if we don't agree with them. We can bring these people in and have boundaries and hold a standard with them of the way that we live to be able to be resilient enough to have them in our life still. So Heather had mentioned, what are they not? I think that just listing off some things that they're not.
I think that oftentimes when someone has a boundary put on them, right? So if Keith has a boundary that he wants to set for himself, that in regards to me, a lot of people almost take offense to that. And the person that the boundary is being set with, they think that the other person is trying to control them and their actions.
Right.
But I think that's a very common misconception because Keith can't control what I do. Neither can I control what Keith does. The only person that we are in control of ultimately is ourselves. Yeah. So if Keith wants to place a boundary on me, he's not trying to control me whatsoever, nor is he trying to give me an ultimatum. Because I think that that's another common misconception with boundaries is that, oh, well, if you don't do this, then I'm going to do this, right? And so then the boundary placer is then felt as if they're left with this ultimatum of like, well, either I have to do this or they cut me out of their life, or bad things are going to happen, or whatever it is. I don't know. I mean,
right.
There's countless things.
That goes into the obligation part of guilt. Like you're giving somebody an ultimatum and you're really manipulating them because you're making them feel obligated to do something. And even the boundary of time, it's like if you hold your life if you hold yourself to a standard, everybody's not obligated to any free time that you have. And so if you set that aside and that's how you live, if you have some free time and you want to fill it with something and this person thinks they're obligated to it, they're not obligated to it. That's a boundary that you're setting for yourself so that person can still be there and not be taking up all of your free time, but they still get to be in your life, rather than you saying, oh, this person's taking up all of my free time. I feel like they're just sucking the energy out of me. So I just need to disconnect from them and go another way. Well, that's not a boundary. So it's not manipulating people. And like Heather was saying, you look at the control, it's like we have a hard time in our personal lives controlling the things that we do and getting those things right. And then we think that we can somehow just control other people.
Right.
It's
this like mystical thing that we think we have the power to do, but we don't.
It's really an illusion. Like a lot of control is really just image management more than actually having control.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah. I never thought of it that way. Image management.
Yeah.
I want to ponder that more, but not today. That gave me some thoughts to think about. That was good. So now that we know, based on that, like, okay, boundaries are not controlling others. They're not ultimatums. They're not manipulating or feeling fear or obligation or guilt or any of those things. So now that we know what boundaries aren't, I think it would be a good opportunity to kind of describe our thoughts on what boundaries are.
Right.
So Keith has a really great idea on this.
Yeah. So I think boundaries are the parameters and standards that you hold for yourself so that you can keep people in your life. So really, to do this, you understand people, so you get to know them, and then after you understand people, then you can meet them where they're at. This doesn't mean lowering your standards to them, just meeting them where they're at. So you both you can agree. Meeting someone where they're at isn't lowering your standards to their level or raising your standards to where they're at. It's just having the ability to either come down momentarily to that standard or go up momentarily to that standard, or just change the parameters that you have in your life momentarily, just to be able to meet them where they're at. But it's not you changing your identity or yourself forever. It's just being able to gain some understanding of their life. And then after you do that, then you can place them in your life accordingly. If there's somebody that seem to, like we talked about time, that seems to want to take all your free time, you can understand that by being able to put yourself in situations where they do take advantage of that.
Right.
But then realizing that and understanding that, now you place them accordingly, and you understand that, hey, this boundary that I'm going to have to put on this person is going to be a time boundary, or whatever it is. But that's definitely one that we see a lot with other people. Is just the time boundary. That's why I bring that up quite a bit.
I think that oftentimes people have this misconception too, that if another person doesn't uphold your boundary, then you just cut them out of your life. Well, if you can't uphold my boundaries, then I don't want anything to do with you anymore. Right? But I think that you brought up a great point of like understanding where people are at. What is their capacity to even be able to recognize what you're asking or what you're desiring or where the trajectory of your life? Mm-hmm. Do they have the capability or the capacity to be able to do so? And knowing that, and knowing how to place them accordingly. Like, that doesn't always mean completely cutting ties. It's maybe a great opportunity for teaching moment, a great opportunity to explain yourself, to maybe they don't get it, right? So we have a great story, a great example of this is, Keith and I are super into fitness and being healthy, and we oftentimes, everybody has, their like New Year's resolution. We like to do it for summer, right? We love being super active with our kids, and we tend to take the winter and the spring to get in shape for summer, so we can go and do all of the activities that require good weather to do outside.
Right, like hiking and all that
swimming,
kind of stuff, playing sports with
playing with our kids and our dog, whatever. Anyway, so we oftentimes we have some friends who get it, right? They're fitness enthusiasts. They love being active, but then there are other friends that we have that just, they don't get it, right? And that's great for them. They don't have the same desires or lifestyle that we have, and there's no hate or shame on that. But they will try and invite us and almost pressure us at times to go beyond what would put us at our goals, right? They try and pressure us to do things that don't get us to where we want to be. So we have to instill boundaries with these people, saying, it's not really what I want to do, because we have these goals and these boundaries. And sometimes it's kind of uncomfortable, but it doesn't mean it's bad.
And you can just kind of imagine how that feels, where you're in a position where you want to grow, you want to get better, and then you have this person pulling you back into some bad habits that you might have wanted to change, even if you're changing those habits short term, but you still wanted to change, and you're getting pulled back into these habits. See, that right there is where some people might call that, oh, that's a red flag or whatever. but it's really not. It's just a signal to where, okay, hey, I need a boundary here, so then I can continue to push towards my goal and grow into that. So sometimes it's something as simple as like, oh, you could have this, you could have that, just live a little, like you don't have to go to bed early, or you don't have to go to bed on time to wake up early and go work out. Like just hang out and live a little. And that's not the live a little that I want at the time. That's not my goal. My living a little is the desire to go and play sports with my kids and run around with them and keep up with them, and be able to do all those things and keep up and not be out of breath and not have shaky legs and all that kind of stuff. Like, I want to be able to do those things, and that's my living a little. And I have to remind myself that, and then go through this uncomfortable spot. So it used to be, when I didn't really understand boundaries and I wasn't skilled at it, I didn't want to lean into that discomfort. And so what I found when it was something as important as, for me, as going out and spending time with my kids, I realized that the way that I was thinking about boundaries, or the skill level that I had at putting boundaries in place, was just not serving me. And so that was that like shift in, I need to lean into the uncomfortable part of setting this boundary right here so that I can reach my goal. And at first, people thought it was, like Heather said, mean, or whatever they end up thinking that is. But really, if I'm being pulled in every single other direction, and I'm not able to reach the potential that I have, am I really going to be satisfied? So
I think that there's oftentimes we think that we're setting boundaries and we wonder why they're not working, right? So we set this boundary and then it doesn't work. We set another boundary with a person and it doesn't work. And to kind of piggyback on what Keith just said, oftentimes the reason that your boundaries don't work, if that's something that you may find goes on in your life, I believe that more often than not, it's because you aren't willing to sit in the discomfort of disappointing someone else. And I see this a lot with people who are people pleasers, right? So generally we have these up regulators who are considered like fight mode, right? And then we have down regulators who are flight, fawn, freeze. Excuse my tongue twister there. And those people are generally considered people pleasers, where they get so uncomfortable when they can't make everyone around them happy. So they are willing to sacrifice themselves for the disillusion of the happiness of other people, right? So when boundaries come up, they're kind of selfish, to be frank. And if I know that my setting a boundary with you is going to disappoint you or make you disappointed in me, there are times where people will run and they'll be like, "Oh, just kidding. I please don't be mad at me. I don't want to make you mad, so I'll take it back. Oh, here's my boundary. Let me take it back," because like it's uncomfortable. And sometimes we just have to be willing to sit in that discomfort and be like, no, this is just, oftentimes it's just for a season.
Right, but the reality is that discomfort that Heather's talking about is you creating the way other people treat you.
Yes.
You are creating expectations for them. And so rather than trying to please everybody and causing chaos in your life because you're a different version of yourself for every single person, you're creating one version that your actions are aligned with your identity and who you are. And this creates a standard. And in the beginning, it's a little bit difficult because you feel like you're letting people down. But really, other people are looking for feedback on how to treat you. Mm-hmm. Other people are looking for feedback on how they can talk to you, on how much time they can take up if you're a busy person. And even just like that, it's like if they buy you a coffee or something like that, and you're not a coffee drinker, but you like choke it down in front of them just because you wanted to, you know, make them feel good, well, they're going to continue to keep bringing you coffees.
And then
Well,
you're going
you
to feel
could just say,
obligated.
yeah, you could just say, hey, you almost put yourself in a position to be manipulated by other people, to be taken advantage of by other people. And so the boundaries that we're talking about aren't necessarily for other people, but they can be a training skill for other people. They want, like, other people want to know how to treat you. They want to know how to talk to you. They want to know what gifts you like without, like, they want to, yeah.
What kind of things do you like? Like,
right.
They want to learn you organically.
Yeah.
They want to have an organic relationship cultivation. You see this so well with children.
Right.
As we're raising children, you notice children will test your boundaries all day, every day, because they are learning the rules of how do I treat you. Right? And the same goes into adulthood. When you meet new people, you're learning the rules of
right.
How do I treat you.
And it gets harder too, because like you look at the teenage, what do they call it, rebellious teenage era, whatever. Some of that is just like testing boundaries. It's just seeing where they can go.
They're not being rebellious.
And
They're just
it's
figuring it out.
Right. You're looking for feedback. You're looking where the line is. You're looking at what's going to happen. You're kind of testing these things. And people test people's boundaries in life all the time.
Yeah.
And it becomes kind of dangerous when you get the person that tests others' boundaries, and they're testing to see if you can be controlled, or to see if you can be manipulated, or to see how easy it is, to see how much of a people pleaser you are. Like, you might have somebody come up to you and say, hey, like, that's a really cool outfit, but man, those shoes are, whatever. They might say something bad about it. And then they might watch to see if you start not wearing those shoes as much, especially if there's somebody around you quite often, and they can notice if you don't wear it. Now they know, well, I can kind of control this person, rather than you just knowing who you are and what you like, and then being able to wear the shoes or whatever. The people that are in the world like that are looking for people that don't really have boundaries, or the skill of creating those is bad, so then they can take advantage of. Those people get weeded out of your life, and you have less chaos in your life. It's not that you have to cut them out. They self-select out.
Yeah.
And if they self-select out because you have a standard of how you believe that you needed to be treated, and you hold that standard, you're not having to cut good people out of your life that you enjoyed in your life because they don't know how to treat you. And they want to know how to treat you. They want to know what the standard is that you hold yourself to, so they can stay in your life and they can be a good friend. You can have a good relationship. They're looking for that.
Amen to that.
You don't want to attract people that are looking for people that they can just walk all over them.
So, all that being said, we hope this gives you kind of an insider's look into what we think, or what our thoughts are regarding boundaries, and what they are, what they're not, things that you could work on, different skills that maybe you could address within your own life and your own relationships.
And boundaries is a skill that's built, and it's a skill that's also built on other skills. So this is something that, once you understand your identity and who you are, and you're firm in that, you have alignment in your life with your identity and your actions, you can start to build boundaries to build better relationships. And next, we'll probably talk about relationships. Just like we have relationships with people, we have relationships with things. And to have relationships with both people and things, you set boundaries for people, and you set boundaries for relationships with things that you have too.